Hi, I'm Greg, and this is Scott. So we're going to assemble the GOBIKE FORTE. You're going to find possibly the battery in a separate box.